Hello and welcome to Three Questions with. Got my friend Scott Rosenthal with us. Kind of talk about taxes in the segment. Hey Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin. Good morning.
So Scott, I want to talk about the difference between a tax professional and the box. What's the difference there, my friend?
Okay, it depends. Sometimes the box is TurboTax, H&R Block at home. Sometimes it's the H&R Block store down the street, or the Jackson Hewitt store, or the Liberty Tax. When you get me, the tax professional, I'm an enrolled agent. You can look that up. You get me. You come to me year one. It's a touchy-feely process. You need to be comfortable with me. I need to be comfortable with you.
Sure.
But I learn about your business. You could be a microbiologist and be in that business. I'm not going to learn how to become a microbiologist, but I'm going to learn about your business and how you do business. Year two, year three, year four, we build on that relationship. I read stuff. I say, oh crap, Kevin can use this. And it's not necessarily during, from January to April 15th or July 15th this year. It's me learning your business, you learning me saying, hey, do this. And it's me picking up the phone or sending an email, generally an email from me, that says, hey, Kevin, look at this. Take a look at this, do this. So when you come to see me in January through April, we're ready to rock and roll, and you've done this, and we've been proactive and reacted to it. H&R Block, and I used to work for H&R Block. They're not bad people. For simple stuff, they're great. For more complex stuff, you're better going with a tax professional and building that relationship. H&R Block shuts down for the most part April 15th.
Scott, one of the things you brought up that I really like, and I think is super important, the word proactive. I think that's important, and that's the relationship you want to have with your tax person. Everything you just said, hey, here's something you should know about. We can take these actions right now to help, maybe come up with a better tax bill. So it's that proactive, it's like you said, the relationship that really makes a difference. I think that is what separates you. So now,
I agree. I had a client when I was at H&R Block, and it wouldn't happen now, but it happened then. She was a retired school teacher, and part of what she did was go to Foxwoods, or I forget the other casino in Connecticut, but she would go down, and she generally wound up, and she won. She had winnings overall. One year, the state of New Hampshire decided that they were going to tax gambling winnings, regardless of where they were earned. I knew that because that's part of what I learned, but I never contacted her because you can't, outside the realm of H&R Block, to say, hey, you need to put aside some money for taxes. I will not repeat what this 98-pound woman said to me when I said, you owe taxes on your gambling winnings. Not that that's a business, but
it's important though. Like you said, if you don't allocate for it and you think, hey, I had a good year on winning at the casino and maybe went on trips or spent that money without putting aside a reserve, now all of a sudden you're the bearer of bad news.
She was not happy.
So now I want to talk about an accounting professional versus QuickBooks, because I find some of my friends and clients actually use QuickBooks, which some don't. And it's okay, but they don't know what it means. They print out the reports, or maybe don't even look at the reports and go, okay, I'm using QuickBooks. And they feel like, okay, look at me, I'm all fancy. But if you don't look at it and use the information, you haven't really gained anything, right?
I'm going to use an analogy because I love analogies.
Okay.
QuickBooks is an extremely powerful tool if used correctly.
Yep.
A Sawzall is an incredibly powerful tool if used correctly. In my hands, a Sawzall, and I believe there's a New Hampshire RSA that says I am not allowed to have power tools, especially a Sawzall. QuickBooks will do whatever you want it to do. QuickBooks is not smart. It does not say, oh, I had a client who the first year I gained him, he had negative cost of goods sold and negative sales. He was
red flag
using,
somewhere. Yeah.
he was using QuickBooks. He said, I use QuickBooks. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I need a profit and loss to do your taxes. And I looked at it and said,
Yeah, something's wrong.
something's wrong.
Yeah.
And we fixed it. But if it was not an accounting professional, not somebody who knew what they were doing, they would have picked up. It took a long time to unscrew what he had done.
Yeah.
Because some of his sales, some of that negative sales was actually positive sales. And some of the cost of goods sold was positive cost of goods sold, but it just took a while to go through and fix that. He would have filed his taxes, and apparently the prior tax preparer did that, just assuming that the two numbers were flipped.
Yep. No, like I said, if you not have it set up right and be able to interpret it, it doesn't make sense. My expression is pass the logic test. And, negative sales should not pass the logic test, needless to say, and stuff. So Scott,
I got one more.
Yeah.
I got a new client this year. She bought into an existing business.
Yep.
And she did a pretty good job with QuickBooks. But I said, where's your balance sheet? You bought the business this year. We need to account for your equity, if there's goodwill.
Yep.
And she went back to the previous owner, and the previous owner said, we don't have a balance sheet. And I'm like, okay.
Everyone does.
you got to have cash and equity. Even if you only got two accounts on there, you have to have a balance sheet. You can't just.
Wow.
And
that's a little scary, my friend.
It is. I mean, and it wound up that she actually had her books, she had inventory.
Yeah.
That it was like, okay, we need to,
Yeah, I mean.
And we worked through it, we got it done, but.
Yeah. But no, that's the difference, though. I mean, like you said, people mean well, someone, maybe sets up their chart of accounts or whatever. But if they're not coding things properly, or just, hey, to your point, I never set up inventory and I didn't know I needed that and stuff. Because it's only natural, we as business owners, we focus on revenue and expenses because we think that's what's important. We don't think about the balance sheet side, but it also helps to know that if you want to depreciate something or something like that, it's kind of important to know.
And I got one more on this.
Go. All right, these are
Kevin,
good.
the business owner. Kevin does networking. He hooks people up. He spends time with his clients. It's 6 o'clock at night. You want to go home or you want to go downstairs, whatever.
Yeah.
Have dinner, pop open a beer, and sit down. You do not want to sit there and do accounting.
True.
And how much do you pay the accounting professional versus how much do you make an hour? How much do you charge an hour?
Yep.
You pay an accounting professional. I can do your books a lot quicker and a lot easier than you can. And you can sit back and have that beer.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's a great point.
Time is money.
Because the other thing I see, Scott, is so many of my friends do not like accounting for some unforsaken reason. So they
Well,
just put it off, and, then all of a sudden they're coming to the end of the year. They're like, oh, I need to get caught up. I'm like, how far behind are you? Well, pretty much the whole year. And
yes.
then they're looking for receipts. Like, I think I, bought something. Like, where's that receipt? Or just, hey, mileage, meals. They have no records. And then they're trying to do it from memory or from their calendar. Oh, it's set on my calendar on December 3rd to have lunch with Scott. I don't know where I had lunch with him. So that's the other side, is you'll keep it up to date, right?
Yes. I have people I do all their bookkeeping, all their taxes for. Um, I go to them once a month or twice a month, pick up stuff, or I have a secure portal where they can not email me, but they can send me stuff.
Yep, sure.
Um, some of them, and it's not an age thing. I've got clients in their 70s and 80s that are like all into Zoom and, into emailing, into going to a secure portal.
Yep.
And I have people in their 30s that are like,
Yeah, it's true though. I've seen it.
I'll text you.
Yeah.
No, you won't
That's
text.
it. Yeah.
So go.
Last question. Scott, we're at a very, very important time for the lives of many business owners. We have to make some real big decisions. I'm seeing people downsizing their space, their workforce. This is when they really need a trained professional to sit down going, all right, Scott, let's look at our business. What do we need to do to survive right now? This isn't, this is, to me, a super serious time. I'm seeing a lot of businesses that I know that may not come through this. So you can sit down with them, look at their business, because in some cases, I'm seeing clients decide to maybe offer more services to try to survive, offer less services, but they need to know the impact. Like you said earlier, you need to know how much you're making. And sometimes, we're offering all these different services. I'm like, Scott, you're focusing on the service you charge the least amount for. You're going to run out of time in the day. This isn't going to work. That's where you come in, right?
Right. And also, I mean, at the beginning, the federal government came out with the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program. They came out with the EIDL, EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Do I take the EIDL? Do I take the PPP? Do I take both? Well, at the beginning you couldn't, but then they said you could. Talk to your accountant. Which works best? Can I get both? Do I need both? Ask the person who might have better answers versus your barber, which you couldn't go to anyways. But
yeah. No, but to your point, that's what a lot of us are doing. We're asking our friends, Scott, what did you do? And it may have made sense for Scott to do one or the other. It may not make sense for you. So go to the trained professional and not just, your buddy who also happens to own a business.
And how do you account for the PPP versus the EIDL? Because there are two separate ways to account for it, because the PPP can be forgiven. There's talk, nothing in concrete, that anything, if you took the PPP, anything under $150,000 is going to be automatically forgiven, but that hasn't come. The president came out with, and I want to make sure I get presidential executive action back, I think in August, which said starting February, starting September 1st through December 31st, employees did not have to pay, voluntarily did not have to pay their Social Security and FICA taxes. Raises huge questions for the employer. The employer says, okay. Kevin says, nope, I don't want you to withhold. Do you have to do that? Does the employer have to do that? And then come January 1st, how do we recoup? Because he said it's just deferred. The presidential action said it was just deferred. Come January 1st, do you owe 3 months on that first paycheck of your, or is it spread out prorate it, and there's still no answers.
Right.
But Scott's going to stay there and look at this and make sure any of my clients who have employees who have opted to take this and tried like hell to convince them not to.
Right.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to look at it and say, okay, here's what we need to do to adjust. And you're sitting there running your business. You do not have the time to look at, I'm going to say nonsense, but it's not.
Well, like I said, it's time, and also, you know, just the knowledge to make that decision, you know, because again, if you think it's good for you, you're reading the articles that say it's good for you, you know, just to prove your point. So that's where it's important to have someone like you. Okay, if that's what you want to do, let's talk about how it's going to impact you so you can make the best decision, you know. And we're seeing a lot of people, you know, desperately hanging on, maybe not making the best decisions right now. And that's where you really need to have someone like yourself who's a qualified person who can, you know, say to you, Cappy, you need to take a breath right now. We need to think about this before you hit that button. And like I said, a lot of people are going to be very appreciative of having you know, stopping them from making those decisions. Like you said on the tax deferred, you know, when I first heard, I'm like, I don't have to pay. Well, that's great. But like I said, what happens on January 1st when I have to pay 3 months back? Does that wipe out my paycheck for the first couple of weeks? You know, so you got to think these things out.
And this covers all three of your questions.
Mm-hmm.
I have a network. I am a member of the National Association of Enrolled Agents, National Association of Tax Preparers, the QuickBooks Advisory Group. I can ask questions because I don't know it all. I'm married to somebody who does, but she's never going to see this video, Kevin.
I was going to send it to her, but a different point.
I mean, the person you ask, somebody in a networking group or something, might not have the right answer, but I can find the right answer. And I can just throw it up and say, hey guys, I have this situation. Does anybody have experience? Can you direct me to the regs? Whatever.
Yeah. Super valuable. So Scott, how can people reach out to you? How can they learn more, my friend?
They can go to my website, www.qtaxllc.com. You can send me an email at scott@qtaxllc.com. They can call me at 603-493-8622.
Awesome. Scott, I really appreciate taking a few minutes to jump on the show with us. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you. You have an awesome day.
You too.